Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And out of his beloved son. Happy Sabbath, Shabbat Shalom, peace and Sabbath. To the elect of Israel. Is we on? Mic check. Mic check. I don't know. Mic check. Oh, yeah, we on now. All right, Psalm 27, opening prayer. A psalm of David. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Most High is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even my enemies and my foes, came upon me to eat up my flesh, they stumbled and fell. Though an host should encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war should rise against me, in this will I be confident. One thing have I desired of the Lord, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord, and to inquire in his temple. For in the time of trouble he shall hide me in his pavilion. In the secret of his tabernacle shall he hide me. He shall set me up upon a rock. And now shall my head be lifted up above my enemies round about me. Therefore will I offer in his tabernacle sacrifices of joy. I will sing, yea, I will sing praises unto the Most High. Hear, O Lord, when I cry with my voice. Have mercy also upon me and answer me. When thou saidest, seek ye my face, my heart said to thee, thy face, Lord, will I seek. Hide not thy face far from me. Put not thy servant away in thine anger. Thou hast been my help. Leave me not, neither forsake me, O God of my salvation. When my father and my mother forsake me, then the Lord will take me up. Teach me thy way, O Lord, and lead me in a plain path because of mine enemies. Deliver me not over unto the will of mine enemies, for false witnesses are risen up against me, and such as breathe out cruelty. I had fainted, unless I had believed to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. Hallelujah.
Very good one, y'all. Psalm 27, y'all. Y'all understand that perfectly when the Most High says you love your mother, your brother, your sister more than me, you're not worthy of me. And you understand that from that Psalm 27, that my mother and father forsake me. And understand that forsaking just don't mean leave you abandoned in the house by yourself. It also means leave you without the understanding and knowledge of who our God is.
Right.
So we have to, when it comes down to certain things, we have to know where the line we can't cross. So y'all, we want to get it understood today. We're going to hit a few articles, man, and pull up a lot of things going on, y'all. A lot of signs of the times that we were told to look out for. Increasing on a rapid scale, y'all. A rapid scale. And you have to understand the world is the wilderness now. So the things that was happening in the wilderness of sin when we come out of Egypt, these same things are happening now on a world scale. Because the gathering will be from the four corners of the earth, not from the four corners of America. So if anybody's teaching that America is solely the wilderness, it's just a part of the wilderness. And when you truly look at the wilderness, with our fathers, Moses and Aaron, we come out with them, we had to do a lot of scrapping to get to the Holy Land. When you get into the book of Numbers, 8th, 9th, and 10th chapter, you're going to see us warring with different nations. asking can we pass through to get to the Holy Land. I'm talking about souls dropping, warring on the way to the promised land. So it was not a situation where we was just chilling and the horn blew, then we moved to another section, moved in. No, we was proving ourselves all the way up to the door of Jerusalem. So y'all let us be truly understanding of the fact what the wilderness is. There's not a place on planet Earth you can go to that Babylon is not in control. When other nations are told, no, you can't have no uranium to make a nuclear bomb like we got. We control all uranium, plutonium, and we know we got sensors up in the sky that tell if you got enough of it to make a bomb. If you do, we're going to make you wish you never had gathered. So this is at the four corners of the earth, of what's called the G20, or the houses, or the men of Timon, the head honchos of the family of the chiefs of the Edomites to rule this kingdom, because it's their kingdom. It's their kingdom. Let us get it understood, y'all. We want to be fair and just in this matter because the Most High is fair and just. He lets us know you can't take a strong man's house unless you bind that strong man.
That's right.
No, we ain't gonna bind them with 9mm shooting sideways. Running and passing now, you can barely run in. Pow, pow, and trip over your feet. No, you going to the penitentiary. And the world gonna have all of your transgressions out front. The Most High put us in the hands of a champion that is gonna make us call on him. Go ahead now, enjoy, brother.
All right, y'all. A few things going on this past week and kind of hectic. Been paying attention. One of the main things they talk about is the government shutdown.
Yes, sir.
Right, we're in day 5 again, I believe, whatever, partial shutdown or whatnot. But the main thing is debt ceiling. They got a vote raised by October 17th, or your nation officially runs out of money.
Y'all heard what he's saying? Explain that ceiling to me.
Right, you got a ceiling right here, so say this whole room is filled up with borrowed money. You got to pay the bill, so it's about to hit the ceiling. In order for them to keep borrowing, they got to raise the ceiling to make more room. You feel me? If your country officially runs out of money October 17th, unless they come to some type of deal to raise the debt ceiling, you can't even borrow more money if the government shut down.
That's right.
You feel me? So there's a lot of things going on with the government. You feel me? A lot of stuff that we get from, food stamps or whatever it may be, Medicaid.
That's right.
You have benefits and all that. We're going to start feeling the effects of that unless they come to some type of deal short. You know what I'm saying? So what's happening is the Most High got where we want to totally depend on them, which should have been what it was in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Scripture tells you to use the word, you don't abuse it.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? There's things in place that you can use to get ahead in society. But these things are fast and coming to an end. Everybody on the good fella at the federal center standing outside with signs. You ready to go back to work?
Out of work. Well, not out of work, but no money for work.
Yeah, they call it furlough on purpose. Or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Non-important workers, basically.
Non-essential.
Yeah, so you got some things going on. So by October 17th, they got a vote to raise this debt ceiling where your country runs out of money. Then October 18th, supposed to be a national truck strike. All the trucks supposed to go on strike. Now, the truck stop moving, it's going to be a problem.
It sure is, boy.
You know, I just with the grocery store, you got any type of big business going. The truck stop moving. You feel me? So that's what's going on too. The Capitol Hill shooting, you know, y'all heard about that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They jumping up, nose. So, yeah, that's going on, again, I can tell you the Bible, the pearl of this time to be the last days.
That's
in
right.
these times, a lot of us still playing around and dancing, though, and not, sitting down and focusing on what we even looking at.
That's right.
Playing, I was just spinning our tires and wheels, thinking we got forever. But none of this lasts forever to be compared to the kingdom of Christ. if it lasts forever.
That's right.
You feel me? So what we seeing now is like birth pains. Any woman that gave birth, she know about the birth pains. She go through. So we in some birth pains right now.
That's right. Let me say something also about it on the debt ceiling. A lot of us understand that debt ceiling perfectly. The bills that you keep putting up there, and that piles up there, until you finally start turning them in half, what you don't pay, and what's going to be a problem, that they don't get thrown into the half bill paying, and you pull out what's going to get paid. So y'all, and also the shooting up there, continue to let us know Deuteronomy 28 is in effect. Now, by right, they had every right to kill her in that car when it was being used as a weapon. You know what I'm saying? But they hadn't looked in there. Their protocol was weak because they didn't even have a box 10 right.
No, you didn't.
If you'd have had a box 10, I don't care how she bagged up and moved forward, she would have never escaped from round 2. But the next step is, what they're looking into is when she stepped out of the car, then she was killed. So where was the threat at this point unless she had her hand in a position like I'm finna draw a weapon on you? But they keep saying the weapon was the car. Now look at the Boston bomb. Killed, how many at the Boston bomb, the pipe bomb? Then not only that, then went on another killing spree, killed 2 more people and police officers. But yet they locked down all of Boston, but they gave him a chance to surrender in the boat. Fired a few shots and let him come out of the boat with
That's
the
right.
strained on him. But he's still alive to go to court.
That's right.
Not only this, then they pull a baby out the back of his car. So y'all, we can't excuse the behavior of this sister that kind of was in a schizophrenic mode. Boyfriend problems, postpartum from the baby, and then you start taking that medication. You know, you're dealing with a hot bitch, you start thinking Obama was following. So y'all, we have to understand all of this is because you don't have that covering on you, protecting you. Ain't nothing we can do about what's in this earth, what's in the water, what's in the food. I don't care if you quit eating meat, you're a vegetarian, that's what's dominating that. E. coli. Because unless you can put a net up to stop all them chemtrails from falling, just look at your car when it rains. See what's on the hood of it. And this is water coming down. How was water raining dirt and acid?
Yellow dust.
That's on your crops. But the Most High already informed us that don't worry about these things, they ain't gonna hurt you. Just like in Mark 16 chapter, he said, look, if you eat any parts of this thing, I'm gonna take care of that. As long as it's on the list. No, the Most High don't play. Pick the ham hock out the greens and it's okay. No, go ahead, man. What you said, I just want to make it.
I hear you. Pick the hand. Alright, we got also was a boat that sunk off the coast of Italy, 94 days. He wasn't tripping off that. Over 300 fireballs, meteor showers appeared over the skies of America since September the 21st. And they see explosions and all signs in the sky. They're right down Luke 21, verse 25 to 26. Besides talking about that, signs in the heavens, men's heart failing them, looking on what's coming on the earth. We see a lot of things that prophecy was coming that was spoken and it's coming to pass. How you know the Bible real? It's already written down, and then you live in neck deep in prophecy.
That's right.
Like you can take what you see and then go right to the scripture. There's something there about whatever you see. You know what I'm saying? Also, in Europe, it's reported 30,000 dead sheep. In Europe,
30,000
fish field, visa field, all that. That's prophecy too. Hosea 4:3. You know what I'm saying? So the spirit of death is in the earth. There's all type of stuff that's going on to get our attention. Most of us be like, oh, well, that ain't happening here. It's cool.
That's right.
You feel me? We gotta get out there vibration. What you mean ain't happening here? You just seen all these people die. You just seen 30,000 dead sheep, birds falling out the sky. All this stuff happening. You just yawn and feel you the next time. That's the wrong spirit to be in. Folk looking like, oh, dang, that's deep. The scripture do say that. Dang, that's deep. The scripture do. So you would be like, that has to be the word of God. Nothing else operates like that. Tell you something before it happens.
That's right.
Vivid. Like, so you can take what you see Spirit of God that had inspired me written down. Do a man. You feel me? So that's about it right there. You know, I just want you to know. Also, the radiation leak in Japan. Remember that earthquake in Japan?
Yep.
Years ago, Fukushima. They saying, look, man, radiation ain't stopped leaking into the ocean since deep. You feel me? All that stuff with prevailing winds, all that stuff is all over in the United States. So going back to the day we were saying, unless the Lord, which you like to say in Mark 16, it's a wrap for us.
That's right.
So what ought we to be doing being all this stuff is happening? Do we yawn and change the TV? Or do we like, you know what, let me try to get closer to the Most High, get better every day? You know, we all fall short, but there ain't no excuses. Just try to investigate better every day. Because you got plenty of atheists out there, people that ain't even acknowledging the Most High. Maybe, okay, whatever, get a good comic book, and then go off their own little philosophy, or whatever it may be. So it's time for us to get them under the vibration of the Most High. How we do that? Stay in prayer, get these scriptures, ask the Lord to open your understanding.
That's right.
And He will. He's not the tooth fairy. He's a real power. He's the Spirit. A real power. He will deal with you, but you gotta be sincere. And stop playing. We in the spirit of playing today. Last time we playing with the wheel, the Lord killed 20,000 in the wheel. We rolled up and was playing. And not tripping off what we need to be doing. But that's it. That's it, Eagle.
Excellent, brother. Y'all, what we're going to hit on is a topic today that raises a lot of concerns here and there. And as we do everything, we also let everyone know we keep or we practice the keeping of the commandments. Without that, ain't no way to enter into the kingdom. Commandment keeping tells us who to worship, how to worship Him. If we fall short, how to pick ourselves back up. Now there's two different priesthoods that this Bible has always mentioned, and two only. It mentions the order of Melchizedek and the order of Aaron and Moses. And the difference is, both are from heaven. One is in order to physically get you in shape or reprogram from coming out of bad society. Because we were learning all the ways of Egypt, understood everything about Egypt. So it was written down for us so that we couldn't say that I didn't know what your word stated. So those laws were given to us on paper, and if you violated those laws on paper, you were put to death accordingly. See, we have a lot of this false prophetism will go away if we was back under Aaron. Because when you start seeing on the news Larry Connor's forehead, well, Larry out of work now, ain't it? Well, Steve Savoy's forehead went up. And North St. Louis false prophet put to death again on co-brilliant and Euclid. News at 6. Yeah, we'll quit a lot of that, but then they know we under this order. They'll slip back under Aaron without you not being fully persuaded and understand the time period when this is very important, y'all. When you understand the shadow and what is. You have to know when you're hearing shadow talk versus what we are practicing for and where we plan on living. You keep practicing the shadow, you're going to be outside like a shadow trails or whatever it does, but it will not be what you're looking for or what you're hoping for. So y'all, we want to be clear on how we explain these orders, because the Sabbath day deals with it from both orders. And there's going to be questions asked you about these different orders, about working on the Sabbath, about buying and selling on the Sabbath. We're going to clear all that up today, and we're going to get a good understanding. If you have any questions concerning it, please raise your hand, and we'll get to it, because down here we teach, study to answer. If you ain't fully persuaded, and you're doing something that you ain't sure of, how you going to tell somebody else to do the same? Because they may ask you the question, well, why do you do this? Man, look, just do it, man. Well, all the questions. So y'all, we're going to get right to it. We're going to get right to the beginning. First, before we get started, anybody got any questions, concerns on their heart, mind, and soul? Something you may have heard earlier in the week, something didn't set right, you know. And what we mainly want to talk about also is getting into wars you can't handle. If you know you ain't up to par that, not saying you will never be, don't get into that scrap. Don't pick fights and then hightail it home and point out the ones chasing you. That is. No, because down here we'll see you running up the steps to the front door and we stand up with, oh, we'll close that door. So you can turn around and face them chasing you. Let's get it. We are going to Genesis chapter 2, verse 1 and 2. Because we see Genesis chapter 1, verse 31 ends chapter 1 on the 6th day. All of those are work days. And we want to get some established also while we're going there, that each one of those days were 1,000 years versus what we know as 24 hours in that day. So first we want to, before we hit that Genesis, let me get right back to Psalm 90 and 4. Down through 10, I believe it is, and it's 2 Peter 3:8. We want to get to that to get the understanding of what a day was anytime it's in the Lord's time. See, that's another thing, y'all. We're going to have to understand what 24 hours and what's 1,000 years. When you see the day of the Lord, He's letting you know what day it is. He always lets us know when it's inside of the 24-hour clock. So let's hit some Psalm 90.
The book of Psalms.
Right back to that Genesis.
All right, the book of Psalms, chapter 90, verse 4. Are we looking at right there? Also, y'all write down 2 Peter 3 and 8. It's the reset.
That too now.
Right.
Yeah. Then he's just side. We're going to come back to that Genesis for you. He's just hitting off the side. Right?
Okay.
All right.
We good, everybody? Psalms 94. For 1,000 years in thy sight are but as yesterday.
How many is 1,000 years in the Most High's sight?
For 1,000 years in thy sight are but as yesterday.
But as yesterday. Y'all see that? That's how 1,000 years passed to the Most High. That's yesterday. So a lot of times we don't understand the chastisement we may be getting. You looking for it to be over the weekend. Because you transgress Monday, you say by Saturday this ought to be over. But when you read the other documents and you see how long these men with gold is being tried in the fire, Joseph in jail for 2 years, Daniel in the lion's den, hungry lions around, different things like that. Job suffering almost 20 years with sores on, but every day still keeping the faith. Keeping the faith through this. So a lot of times we get impatient and want it to be over. No, the Most High fixing where you ain't gonna want this no more. Every time you think about doing this, it's gonna taste like a built White Castle. Rough on. What we at?
Psalm 94. For 1,000 years in thy sight are but as yesterday when it is past.
When it is past.
And as a watch in the night.
So it's comparing it. So when you look at the Most High, He's already looking down. So when He says 4 generations usually what? Generation of a man or 40 years. So since life is 70 years, 10. So you're saying 4 times 70 minimum on a minimum scale that He says before this situation gets straightened out. But to the Most High, that's just 6 hours in His watch for a day. You thinking that's been 300, 400 years. But that's only in this, by what we look at 6 p.m. You ain't been, no, it ain't enough for you yet. You're going to spend some time with this, and Most High going to straighten out. So He look down, so He gives us that same spirit of discernment when we are dealing with situations in your life personally. He wants you to look down the road before you make a decision. What's going to happen if I do this? You should be able to see down the road from the understanding of this script every day. This ain't going to be good if I do this. I already know it's coming. Why would I do it this way and I know what the result's going to be? Look down the road and adjust accordingly. Everything ain't going to be perfect. But at least you're saying, well, I'm going to cut this part out. I'm going to cut this part out. But this part I'm going to have to deal with because I did that. I'm just going to have to wait this one out. So y'all, we have to always look at things in time. It ain't when you come, the Most High just don't show up because you wailing and crying. He show up right on time.
Right.
And it ain't going to never be the time you looking for because you just don't do it again then. He show up when you can give him the glory. When you are holler out, Lord have mercy. We got some relief. Let's get it. Where we at?
2 Peter 3:8.
Right.
And speaking on what Dan is speaking on, y'all also write it down, just looking down the line he was talking about. Proverbs 22 and 3. And Proverbs 27 and 12.
Proverbs
22 and 3. And Proverbs 27 and 12. Talking about foreseeing the evil and getting out the way.
That's right.
Look down the line.
Don't just keep walking right into things. It's going to wear the flesh out. The spirit dwelling in you, but you allowing the flesh to continually to be wore out. The spirit can't abide in a wore out flesh. Go ahead, 2 Peter 3:8 we're going to?
Yes,
And also, y'all, if y'all ever, like there's some other writings in the book of Barnabas, 15th chapter, verse 4, it also speaks of one day as 1,000 years. You know, also there's some writings in the book of Jubilee as well that deal with one day as 1,000 years. So it's overabundance of what we're talking about in the Lord's day. That's your key kickoff. When you see it like that, you know that it's been in his time according to his prophecy. If you happen to be watching a YouTube video and it's got prophecy that's already done happened, you got to check yourself. Well, if Obama is the Antichrist, then we into the tribulation period. Is he at all?
Right.
So you can't just put him there and the scriptures are saying this because you want to be, you know, the one who discovered who the Antichrist will be. We're all going to know who he is. Just like on your phone, like the Amber Alert. We're going to get that alert if you alive. Let's get to 2 Peter 3.
Yeah, 2 Peter 3. 2 Peter 3, start at verse 7. But the heavens and the earth, which are now, by the same word, are kept in store, reserved unto fire. Reserved unto fire.
Now y'all see what he's saying is what he's breaking off right here. But this heaven and earth that we are under has been reserved for fire. This heaven and earth was created in Genesis 1 and 1 and 2. This was after that first flood. And as 2 Peter go on to explain some things, also Jeremiah 4 verse 23 talks about that world, everything was wiped out in there. That's where your dinosaurs was, that's where your mammoth elephants were, and all of that was in that world because that world got so wicked, Satan was running his kingdom. This was his kingdom before Adam and Eve. And it got wicked out of control. Way out of control. So he said the heaven that we are under right now is stored up. So even though the flood destroyed the world, we are still under that heaven set up in Genesis 1 and 1 and 2. A restored heaven. So go ahead, man. Read on a little bit more.
2 Peter 3:7. But the heavens and the earth, which are now by the same word, are kept in store, reserved unto fire, against the day of judgment and petition of ungodly men. But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing.
Be not what?
Be not ignorant of this one thing. That one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day.
Read that next verse now.
Verse 9. The Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some men count slackness, but is long suffering. But is long suffering to us all, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance.
And what the Most High has been, he's long suffering is that's what we have to be. Sometimes somebody just ain't get it. But if you see just maybe a chance that this person will understand this word, will be long suffering before you give it up. And the Most High is saying, I got a remnant that I have to be long suffering with. I'm not going to destroy the world like I did last time and wipe everything out. everything completely. Because when you read that Jeremiah 4:23, it talks about that world, everything was wiped out, every man. But we know this flood, there was 8 left alive. So we have to understand which heaven we are under. This one was reserved for fire.